Hello and welcome back to a new all series of YourRaw, and I've been thinking about bringing it back for a couple of months, and then I've been contacted by James Carro Snr, and who's not long visited the Mat Loop. Now, first of all, if you've never visited the Mat Loop and you like that type of photography, you must go. Check out some of the videos I've done, and there's plenty more videos out there for locations and etc. etc. What I would say about the Mat Loop is it's hit and miss. It can be fantastic or you can see nothing. It's just one of them. And the other thing is it's bitter cold all year round, so be prepared. So it sent me 6 images in, and what is asked, could I create a motion blur, a pan effect using Lightroom or Photoshop? I says yes, it should be quite easy. So, and it is quite easy. It's quite an easy process. Obviously, the best way to do this pano effect is a low shutter speed and do it at the Mat Loop. The problem with that is, like I say, these planes are not guaranteed to come through. So to gamble and put a low shutter speed to get it on point, it's a gamble. Now, if you knew there was loads and loads coming through, which you don't, then I would definitely gamble. But the first half a dozen planes or more, I would definitely use a fast shutter speed and get the shot. So I've opened them up in Lightroom. We can scroll through them and just pick the ones that you think were going to work the best, and then we'll just try this procedure. I think the only one that probably we would struggle with is probably the last one, because it's got a lot of A's and what have you around it. So I'm going to pick, we'll pick this one first. So all I'm going to do, I'm not going to touch any of the edit, all I'm going to do is send it into Photoshop. Just on the settings, he's got it at ISO 640, 500mm, f5.6 and 1,500th of a second. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer. That's a must. You must do that, or you'll have to start again right from the beginning. So I've got a layer, and I basically want 2 layers. I want the plane and I want the background. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and select the plane. So if we go up into select, we've got a choice of selections here, and I'm going to go for focus area, because pretty much the plane is in focus and nothing else. So it's going to do a pretty good select. Okay, so it's done that. I'm going to press OK. Now, there's parts of the plane that are not quite selected. So what I'm going to actually do, if I go up to the quick select tool, click that and the plus, and all I'm going to do is add to that select. So I'm going to add the rear wings there, as a little bit there that's missing, a little bit there that's missing. Everything else looks pretty good. That's the plane selected. So all I've got to do now is copy, create a new layer, and then paste, and then that we've now got our plane selected. So that's the first step. So we'll just switch that plane bit off. I'm going to create a new layer, and with this layer I'm going with the quick select tool, no, with the lasso tool, I'll draw around the plane like so. Right click, select generative fill. Don't type anything in, just generate. And what I'm hoping now is that will remove the plane from and just left with a background scene. So that's done that. It's done a fantastic job. Now the next thing we've got to do is merge just those 2 layers. So if we right click and merge visible, because if we just go back, there's only those 2 layers visible at the moment. So if we merge visible, If you merge all, then they'll all get merged back in and we've got nowhere. So now I've got the background layer. On top of that, I've got the plane. Nothing looks any different now because it's all selected. So all we've got to do now is I'm just going to switch the plane off. And then on the generative fill, if we go to filter, blur, motion blur. Now on the motion blur, we've got an angle where we can change the angle of where the blur is going to be. But obviously if we're panning, we'll be panning from right to left. So we want it in nice parallel with the plane as we're panning round, shooting the plane there. And then distance, it's just a matter of tweaking the distance to how we want that pan to look. And it's a personal preference. I've got it set at 931 pixels. I don't think we need to do any more than that. We'll press OK. So we put the pan in, and then all we've got to do is apply the plane. So we can save that and bring it back into Lightroom and do some general edits, but that is that simple. So if you want me to go through another one, we'll just save that. We'll do one more just to show you the process, but it's a very, very easy process. Let's have a go with this one that's a little bit more tricky, see if it will select. So we'll edit in Photoshop. As soon as it's Photoshop, duplicate the layer. We'll grab two layers, might as well do two. So the first thing we do is select the plane. Again, so select, and I'm going to try subject on this one, and hopefully it'll recognise the subject, which will be the plane. It's pretty much selected everything besides that little bit of wing there, and it's selected a bit too much in the foreground there. So again, we'll go to the quick select tool. So we want to add a little bit, so we're going to add that little wing if we can. So it's added a little bit too much, that's fine, because we can take it away. So we click the little minus brush, and we're going to remove that bit. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier, so I'm going to zoom into the image. And this is where it's going to be tricky here, so we just need to spend a little bit more time here, just deselecting. We want to get it as accurate as possible. So all I'm doing, just little clicks, little movements, just to get it a little bit more improved. There's obviously other ways we can select things, but this is probably the easiest way. I'm going to go really small. Just see if I can go right in there. See if I select that. It's not done too bad a job. We'll just... Okay, a little bit tricky. Let's come back out. So that's selected the plane. We copy the selection, create a new layer and paste. So if we switch all the layers off, we've got the plane, a selected plane. Now then, because we've struggled with the selection round the back of the plane there, if we zoom in, it's still not quite right. So what I'm actually going to do is just create a layer mask and grab the brush tool, make a sharp edge brush, drop it right down size wise, and I'm just going to paint that out an hard edge, and we should be able to just remove that. Now I'm doing this freehand, but we can, if we click there and then hold the shift key down, it does draw straight lines. So if we do click there, straight line there, there. Okay, so that's done a lot better job. A little bit there we don't need. Just checking around the edge, see if everything looks pretty good. Everything else looks good, I'm quite happy with that. So we've corrected the selection. All we need to do now is come back out, select the background layer again, and this time we're going to remove the plane. So again, the lasso tool, we draw around the plane, just little, don't have to be perfect at all. Right click, generative fill, generate. So we're creating 2 layers again. We're creating the plane and the background. That's done a fantastic job again. We'll just merge visible layers again, merge visible. That'll put that down into 1 layer. The next thing we need to do is filter, select motion blur. Now it's obviously already selected because I've used it once, so but we'll just go back again. Blur, motion blur. We'll use the same, exactly the same setting. Press OK, and then reselect our plane, bring it to the top, and there's the plane with the motion blur. It's, like I say, it's quite an easy process, and you can play around with the blur, how much blur you want, more or less. And then if we just save that back into Lightroom, and then we can jump back into Lightroom, and we can just edit the image as we would. If you want to send your image in for me to use on YourRaw to feature, then just contact me, message me through Facebook or email or wherever, and send me some images over, a little bit of backstory to it, and you never know, you may feature on the new Series 3 of YourRaw. Thanks so much for watching. I've enjoyed this little tutorial. I'll see you soon. Right, I'm going to edit this a little bit.